Hey guys, it's Matt. I just came from CNN.com, and if this is the number one news story on their homepage of their website, I remind you once again that things aren't so bad in the world. Mike Waltz pushed out of Trump administration. Think of the suffering of past generations and our ancestors. There was a time not long ago, somebody in, say, the Far East, who opened their door, and a newspaper had been thrown at the foot of the door just a few minutes before. And on the newspaper, the top headline, it says, Pol Pot victorious. Khmer Rouge takes over. You think things are bad now? Think of the guy that looked down between his feet. There was a newspaper that said, Pol Pot victorious. He didn't know what was coming. Let's stop complaining. Now, if anybody was saying, who's Mike Waltz? I was saying the exact same thing. The National Security Advisor's job has been in limbo after it was made clear to him this week that he will no longer lead the National Security Council, source says. So apparently, if you put two and two together, he was the National Security Advisor. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Trump's special envoy says Steve Witkoff under consideration to replace Waltz. Who's that? Nobody knows. Second bullet point, live updates. Anti-Trump protests planned across the U.S. for today, May Day. Today is May 1st, May Day. And even though it's an ancient holiday that's been corrupted again by notnilC, that has ancient roots, and we'll talk about it, what it is now, May Day, is about labor and unions and organizing labor against the evil corporations and better working conditions, 8-hour workday, time off, etc. The communists love it, of course, but if you had to pick a side, I'm going to pick the side of labor and unions, of course, over the evil corporations that sit at the creepy table. That's just a few steps away from notnilC itself. Now, picking a side in this reality is always a bad idea. You never choose the blue pill or the red pill. You never pick behind door number 1, number 2. You walk away from both showcase showdowns, bid $1 and just get the fuck out. But if you had to pick, of course, I'm going to be on the side of union and labor and things like that. Now, especially since all the time I've spent looking at the coal miners over the last 2 months, the Free Voice video, the United Coal Miners Workers of America, organized in the the mid 1890s, I believe. The working conditions for coal miners couldn't be any worse. So, look, I'm not out there with signs today celebrating with my brothers. But if I had to pick a side. And I hate to put it that way because it's not good to ever pick a side in this reality. I'm going to choose the side of labor over the corporations, that's for sure. Third bullet point, Trump's tariff-loving senior advisor cast as the easy villain of tariff chaos. Now, this is what I really wanted to talk about. The Great Depression of 1929. The way history presents this to us, if you had to pick one word that caused the 10 years of misery, almost up to 1940, just one word, that's all you had, people would generally say, if I had to pick one thing, tariffs caused it. The same plot points are playing out again now. They do this over and over again. They just recycle the same scripts over and over. Now, history doesn't say anything about tariffs and protectionism causing the initial stock market crash of October, Black Friday or whatever in 1929, but what they stepped in to correct it, which caused many more years of misery, a whole decade of misery. They blamed it on tariffs and hardcore protectionism. Was it Smoot-Hawley? Something like that? The same script elements are playing out now. And please, if you're new here, don't think that I believe anything is legitimate. Of course not. It's all planned in advance. I'm just telling you what history tells us. The way they presented in the college economics class is if the market would just have been allowed to react in 1929, the free flow of capital and no interventionism and no sticky fingers and protectionism and taxes and tariffs, it would have been really ugly for 3 or 4 years. But by 1935, things would have started looking much better. Instead, it was drawn out for an additional 5 years at least because of all the protectionist measures. This is what is presented to us. What I'm pointing out is they're running the same script elements and, like I've said, plot points. Does that mean for sure they're going to collapse the economy towards the end of the Trump administration? No, but they're using the same plot points. They did the similar thing under George W. Bush, 2007, 2008, the banking crisis and all that. And then the Democrat gets in to save the day. They'll put another genius in, like Obama, and all the government regulations and the government entities get even bigger and controls over everything, and your rights go down. And this is generally how they play a very long-term game. So you had the tariffs in 29. Well, actually, again, didn't cause it, but that was the cause of the decade of suffering, per the way history presents it. And it's doing the same thing again. Now, the question is, if they run this act of the play during the Trump administration, will it be the big one? And at this point, there's only one definition associated with the big one, the one that actually replaces the US dollar and the debt-based system. I haven't looked. Is it 37 trillion or something in debt? I know they can print up whatever they want. They can print up trillions, and maybe they'll keep doing that as long as an apple isn't $10, and as long as there's not 40,000 little old ladies that become homeless because they simply can't put food on the table. Maybe they'll keep going, but at some point, it's all planned out, and their AI knows exactly when this is likely to happen. They will need to replace the US dollar with a global currency, or however they'll do it. All this debt. It's a debt-based system. You can't even create a new dollar in the system without it being linked and associated with a dollar of debt. You can't reduce the debt. That's what's so absurd with these senators and congressmen campaigning, and the people believe it. And I guess when we talk about it, we're called names as conspiracy people. They say, we need to tighten our belts. We need to reduce the deficit and the debt. You can't reduce you certainly can't reduce the debt. It collapses the economy. You can't even reduce the deficit at this point, because the economy is a runaway train. You have to keep building track in front of the runaway train, because the track isn't even built. That's more and more floating of trillions and trillions of dollars of debt. At some point, although they can print $10 trillion a day, at some point this cannot go on forever. They will whatever 38 trillion, it'll just be wiped away. And for whatever dollar you had, you'll be given a new digital currency or something that will only be usable on a smartphone or whatever like that. And when the Truth Committee yelling like they want to get rid of cash, that's ridiculous. They've probably kept this system going as long as they have because they love cash. How else do drugs enter the inner city? How else does all the illicit and illegal activities happen that the notnilC wants? Of course, first grade truthers 10 years ago, they're going to get rid of cash. No, they love cash. Go watch certain scenes in Boys from the Hood because they want us to kill ourselves. Go watch Kill the Messenger about the San Jose Mercury News. However real or not, it doesn't matter. It's basically true. The San Jose Mercury News journalist wrote about how the government, the Air America, they bring the drugs in. They don't want to get rid of cash because that's how the drugs move around. That's how all the illegal activity happens. Of course not. But we'll talk about, I think that I've thought that through, actually, how they're going to solve that problem. Not what the first grade truthers says, they want to get rid of it, how they want to hold on to something like a cash society so all the illegal activity can continue. Anyway, let's not get too far in the weeds. Whatever they do during the Trump administration, will it be the big one? I don't know. I have no idea. But I know one thing. I do know this with 99% sure. Their AI and their modeling and their digital twin model, they know exactly within a 6-month time frame when they will need to impose the crisis, the economic crisis and collapse, imposed, all planned out, every bit of it. And they know when they'll need to implement the new currency, and whatever dollars you had in the bank will be converted to the new world currency or whatever. It's all planned out right now. So I like to remind people every few months when the banks close and it's the biggest story of all time and people are panicking and they're running down and throwing chairs through the glass to get in the last couple cans of tuna fish, and just sit back, put your feet up. Oh, they're going to make it scary, no doubt. Put your feet up, relax, and smile. Make sure you have at least a few 6-packs of beer at home. It's going to take a little while to play out. It will be, even to us, a little scary for several weeks. The Great Depression, they imposed almost 10 years of pain on a lot of people. millions and millions. So who knows? I don't think they'll just have it corrected in a few weeks. It'll be pretty ugly for 6 months to a year. I think it'll be super scary for just a few weeks. Banks close. And again, will they do this during the Trump administration? I don't know. But when it happens, they will absolutely make it scary. It'll be all part of the act, a certain act of the play, because they will want people to flock and bow down before the Savior, which will be the new digital world currency or whatever you use through your smartphone. The debt-based system will go away. There'll be some freebies thrown out, like wiping away of student debt. They'll do certain things to get certain groups on board, and they'll make it scary as hell for several weeks or even several months. And how will the grocery store open up this week? It's been closed. Oh, they can't take the Visa card anymore. All by design. I'm not a giant prepper anymore, like I said, but I have 2 months of stuff around the house. Whatever. I mean, that's not hard. If you have 10 boxes of pasta and 3 or 4 little jars of peanut butter and some crackers and nuts are good. You have some, not those nuts, almonds and shit. They last months, and what lasts a long time? Chocolate. I know it's expensive as all hell. Chocolate in the refrigerator lasts forever. It's pretty easy to get by for 6 to 8 weeks on the shit that's in your pantry or whatever. They'll make it scary, but hopefully we'll laugh all the way through it. And remember, every bit of it will be planned out. Even inside of within 2 percentile, they'll know exactly how it will play out. They'll have it all modeled out ahead of time. So, will it be during Trump? I don't know. I don't know. I think they'll try to keep this debt-based system going as long as they can, as long again as the apple. Again, if you go to buy a banana, and if it's $8 a banana, then 60 to 80 million people within a few months are going to start to starve because they simply do not have the money to put food on the table. Or they'll keep the debt-based system going, but there'll be more and more the government assistance will be all ready to go. The banana's $7. Well, you better get on this EB whatever T card or whatever. You get on the government assistance. It'll be for anybody. You make $60,000 or less. Here you got to get on government assistance because that's the only way you can afford the banana. They could keep it going like that, and magically all the government programs will be all ready to go. It'll all be ready. It'll be paid for. There won't be any financing problem. Well, there's an additional 40 million people on government assistance because the banana is now $7, and even going to they don't have it your way at Burger King. Oh yeah, it's that guy that just sings, but it doesn't rhyme. It's like BK Broiler, blah, blah, blah. I hate that guy. He's on, they do say have it your way. Whatever, who cares? I hate the Burger King commercials. I hate it. Burger King, they don't got no smasher, but you go to Burger King, that'll be $45 for a goddamn burger. When that happens, they'll either then it's getting close. Not $45, but when the hyperinflation really starts to kick in, then they'll be ready to at least getting close to imposing the new digital currency, wiping out the old debt-based system, and I don't know. Other than that. Who knows? The AI right now knows when it's going to happen. The AI and the modeling knows within a few weeks. They're not going to wait for it to happen. They will impose it themselves, of course. They'll stay ahead of it. Although eventually it would happen naturally on its own. It's all being propped up now. Whatever is holding it up, they're pillars holding it up. If they removed how fake the economy is, a few things holding it all together now, it would within 48 hours it would start to go. Right now, it's almost the entire economy is run on it's a simulated video game of sorts. There is no natural supply and demand or anything like that. And every year I do, how come the economic crash or all these channels that we listen to for years and years, like SGT report and X22 report, and they've called for economic collapse now for 12, 14 years, every single week. Every year I've been doing this now for 6 or 7 years. Why the economic collapse never comes? Because it's all planned out and the entire world economy is run on a computer. There's nothing will ever fail. There's never an economic or a fiscal problem because the trillions can be injected automatically wherever the trillions are needed. Like I've said, hundreds and hundreds of companies have failed. They've all been propped up in the middle of the night without any news headlines or anybody knowing about it. But the only thing that they can't control, they can throw trillions around every day, it's the inflation that they can't control. Because to get a handle on that and control the inflation based on all the trillions that they've already printed up, they would need 12, then 14, then 16, and potentially 18% interest rates back to what existed in 79, 80, or 81. And there's a lot of reasons they can't do that. I mean, that would collapse everything. But one of the main reasons they can't do it, if they tried to keep things going with a high interest rate, it would actually, to anybody that didn't have their head up their ass, it would expose a fake system. Because the debt service, the interest on the debt, would be 5 times U.S. tax revenue. I mean, it would expose everything as being fake. And right now, the man and woman on the street do not see how fake everything is. They believe the government needs your tax dollar to operate. I mean, it's ridiculous. But even to the dummy on the street, if they tried to keep it going and the inflation got out of control and the banana's $10 and they only have one thing at their disposal, raising interest rates 10, 12, 15, 18%. That right there would expose the entire system as fake, even to the dummies on the street. And that's saying something. Okay, guys, let me close with this. This was also at CNN today. Bot, this was at CNN. Am I allowed to read it? As a transgender person, have you been impacted by Trump's executive orders? We want to hear from you, says CNN. He's put restrictions on gender-affirming care for children. That means if you believe that you'll say you can run like a, walk like a man, talk like a man. If everything about you, but inside, I'm not that. I'm the other. And then you can get gender-affirming medical care to change to what you want. And now a lot of insurance companies are starting to pay for all this, and Trump's trying to stop it. And now Trump's just a puppet. But he's playing the side right now. The conservatives are now winning. But I agree with a lot of this. I mean, no, I personally don't. Can I even say if I agree with it or not? I don't know. I want the video to load. But gender-affirming medical care, so you can kind of get the hospitals to get you to look and act and pee like you want. I'm not for that. I don't believe Trump's a real president, but I'm not for that. Second, he wants a ban on trans women competing in most women's sports. Most? How about all? Wants a ban on trans women competing in most women's sports. Well, what's wrong with that? We don't need another hairy balls in the women's pool. We don't need another hairy balls in the women's locker room. There was just a man in the women's Olympics boxing, and we don't need another man taking another gold medal home in the women's 4x100. We don't need another hairy balls. I don't understand how anybody could be against this. What's so bad about this? Pentagon's plans to discharge transgender military members and recruits are just some effects of the Trump administration's actions. Let me take it the other way. We do need hairy balls on the front lines, and of course, let's not take it too far, guys. There's no real conservative president working for you. In this regard, how they make the presentation, they do make it seem like the pendulum swings both ways. But, it's all by design. They have to make the other side seem like they're in control from time to time, or the dummies wouldn't believe in the two-party system. Well, you've got to be pretty lost to believe in the two-party system. It's about the lowest belief system anybody could possibly have on the face of the earth. To go back out and vote for a Republican and Democrat, that's about as low as anything anybody's ever done, other than committing a crime or certain felonies. Tell us how these executive orders have affected you and your family. Boy, would I love to write something and share my story. I'd really love to make a story up right now, but it would be considered highly offensive by the bot, and there'd be a chance that this video wouldn't load. So I guess I'll wrap it up here, guys. This turned into a mini. Every year I do why the economic collapse never comes, and I guess this will probably qualify for it. Although maybe I'll do one more closer to an hour. It gets into more of the specifics and what I believe they will do to continue what they're getting out of keeping cash and to keep the drugs circulating and things like that. So I might do a full why the economic collapse never comes. But what I'm saying is all this talk about tariffs and tariffs causing all sorts of chaos and problems, they are going to absolutely, in my opinion, have some sort of a 2008 issue before the Trump presidency is over. The whole point is, will it be the big one where they replace the U.S. dollar? That I don't know. But the bot knows and the AI knows within a few weeks when it's coming. It'll be scary. Smile and laugh. And make sure you have a few extra cans of peanut butter. I'm not a big prepper, but a few cans of peanut butter and a few boxes of pasta and some. It's good to be a little bit prudent. Have some Colt 45 on hand so you can enjoy yourself. A little prepping is not a bad idea. Who knows? Thanks for listening.